Hello, good morning students. So welcome to this class, and as we are going through the industries that are based on mineral, today let us study about the most important industry, that is iron and steel industry. And we said that is the backbone of everything. So all the other industries are heavily depending on this iron and steel industry to get raw material and also to get finished products from them. So we shall study a little elaborately about this iron and steel industry. You can take lesson page number 71. Page number 71. The iron and steel industry is the basic industry, since all the other industries, heavy, medium and light, depend on it for their machinery. So I already said all the other industries are heavily depending on this iron and steel industry to get, because all the other industries, they are all having different types of machines, and without machines, without iron, we cannot make the machines. Therefore they are all depending on this industry, iron and steel industry. So steel need to manufacture a variety of engineering goods, construction material, defense, medical, telephonic, scientific equipment, and a variety of consumer goods. So when we see in and around our life, in and around our society, we see a lot of machineries are there. The vehicles that are moving, the factories, if you go to a workshop, you can see their main work is on iron, is it not? Welding, all the machines are also made with iron. So iron is a must thing in order to begin any work, any machines, everything will be depending on this iron and steel industry. Then production and consumption of steel is often regarded as the index of a country's development. So this production and the consumption of steel is often regarded as a development forward. It is a index towards, index means pointing, it is a pointer towards the development. Iron and steel is a heavy industry because all the raw materials as well as finished goods are heavy and bulky, entailing heavy transportation costs. So we said in the last class that the heavy industry means the industries that are making bulky things and heavy things, and therefore this iron and steel industry will come under that category, because all the things that they produce, that is very heavy and very bulky and in large quantity, therefore iron and steel industry will certainly fall in the category of heavy industries. Then we said also, when we make the iron, the ratio that is needed in order to make it harder, we need to mix certain things. That is, we need to mix iron ore, cooking coal, and we also need the limestone. These are the three things that is required for the iron and steel industry. What are they? Iron ore, cooking coal and limestone, and they should be mixed in a certain percentage or that certain ratio. For example, the iron ore should be 4, the cooking coal should be 2, and the limestone should be 1. So 4:2:1. That should be the ratio for mixing these elements. Then some quantities of manganese are also required to harden the steel. So in order to make this steel more hard, what we need to do? We need to mixing what? Manganese. If you mix manganese, then the iron will become more hard. So some of the machines, like heavy machines like bulldozer, JCB and so on, their parts are very strong. Ordinary iron means they'll just bend when they do very hard work. So they need very hard iron. So in order to make this iron more harder, what do? They mix some manganese inside. Then, and where should the steel plants be ideally located? Now, if we say where we must start the plant or the factory, iron and steel industry, where should be its location? What will you answer? So, the policy or the prime rules meant for other industry, that will be practical or applicable for this iron and steel industry as well. Therefore, we have to say where the raw materials are available, where the transportation facility is available, where the labor is cheap. So these are the places where they will choose to set up iron and steel industry. So remember that the finished products also need an efficient transport network for their distribution to the markets and consumers. Then in 2010-11, with 72.2 million tons of steel production, India ranked 4th among the world crude steel producers. So according to the data available in 2010-11, India was able to produce 72.2 million tons of steel. So India was ranking 4th position in the world. So much of iron was produced by India. Then it is the largest producer of sponge iron. So we said about sponge iron. What is sponge iron? It is a soft iron. So just like some of the iron you can see, we can easily bend it with even hand. Some we need to use more strength, and some even if you use a strength, it will not bend. It will just break away sometimes, but it will not bend. So different qualities of irons are there, depends on how we are mixing other elements like manganese, and so if you mix it become harder and harder. Then the sponge iron, India is the largest producer. You can underline, India is the largest producer of sponge iron, that is soft iron. In 2010-11, per capita consumption of steel in the country was only around 49 per annum in the world average of 182. So if you look at India population is very high, therefore we cannot expect everyone to buy iron. Everybody is not rich enough. Quite many poor people are there. They never use any iron for making house or anything. So if you take the average, an Indian is using only just 40 to 49 kg per annum. In a year, one person in India will be using just 49 kg of iron. But in abroad, if you look, it is much higher. In the world level, it is one person is using 182 kg. So in India, people are using less iron. That's why the amount becomes less. So if the country is growing economically, and the poor people are also able to afford make better house and other furnitures, and so they also will start using more iron and make better house, strong house, and so that way slowly their house will, we can say the consumption of iron will increase in India as well. Then mini steel plants are smaller, have electric furnaces, use steel scrap and sponge iron. So there are also mini steel plants, that means steel plants that are making small machines, and so not very heavy industrial machines, but small machines are there. So many small machines are there that is made in mini steel plant. Mini means small steel plant. Then what are they using? They are using electric furnaces, and they use steel scrap. Scrap means small pieces of iron, not very big pieces. Big pieces will be used for making big machines. So this small industries or small or mini steel plants are using scrap, what is coming out from the other factories, maybe broken pieces. Such kind of small pieces will be used by this mini steel plant. So nothing is wasted, everything is made use. Then they also use sponge iron, the soft iron also they use. Then they have re-rollers that use steel ingots as well. So they have re-rollers. They have rollers others are using. They do the re-roll, rolling again and again. That use steel ingots. What is ingots? That is a very hard metals. Very hard solid metal, that is called steel ingots. So they are using that also. Then they produce mild and alloy steel of given specification. So they make the mild steel. Mild means not very hard but soft one. And they also make alloy steel. Alloy steel means the steel that is mixed with others, not pure steel but mixed with others. That is called alloy. The chemistry, I hope you will be studying about alloys. So that is mixture of different metals. So these are the things that they make in these mini steel plants. Then most of the public sector undertakings market their steel through Steel Authority of India Limited. So there is a big company called Steel Authority of India. It is called short form SAIL. So most of the public undertakings market their things. So those big iron and steel industry, what they produce, they do the marketing, they do the selling, whether in India or abroad, they do it through this organization called SAIL, Steel Authority of India Limited. Then in 1950, China and India produced almost the same quantity of steel. So in the 1950s, both India and China almost it was equal in production of steel. Then today China is the largest producer of steel, and China also the world's largest consumer of steel. So in 1950 India and China they were somewhat equal in production of steel, but afterwards what happened we do not know. China went ahead much higher. Now India is holding only 4th position, but China has become the first in the world. So what made China to improve or increase their production? And people in China also use more. They are not only producing the highest amount, but they are also using. That means more and more people are using iron, maybe to make buildings and other equipments and so. Quite many people are using iron. Then, so in 2004, India was the largest exporter of steel, which accounted for 2.25% of the global steel trade. So in the year 2004, India became the largest exporter, exporting to other countries. And how much did India export? So 2.25% of the global steel trade was done from India. So from India alone, almost 2.25%. That is 2.25% of the global trade was done by India. Then Chota Nagpur Plateau region has the maximum concentration of iron and steel industries. It is largely because of the relative advantages this region has for the development of this industry. So Chota Nagpur has got a lot of iron ore. Therefore, this area has got a lot of advantage to develop this iron and steel industry. So, where the raw materials are close by and available in plenty, that area will have a lot of opportunity to develop this iron and steel industry. So, this Chota Nagpur Plateau is a very suitable place for starting this industry to flourish this iron and steel industry. And though these include low cost of iron ore, high-grade raw materials in proximity, cheap labor, and vast growth potential in the home market. And though India is an important iron and steel producing country in the world, yet we are not able to perform to our full potential, largely due to high cost and limited availability of cooking coal, lower productivity of labor, irregular supply of energy, and poor infrastructure. So what are the problems India is facing? So we said Chota Nagpur plateau is a very suitable place for starting iron and steel industry. Why? Because there is low cost iron ore is available, the raw material is available which is of very cheap. Then high grade raw materials in proximity. Though the price is cheap, the quality is very high. The high grade is there in proximity. Proximity means nearby. So there the nearby place itself very high quality raw material is available. And cheap labor, the labor charge is very cheap there. People don't take much money. Then vast growth potential in the home market. So if they produce a lot of iron, there is a lot of potentiality is there for growing vast, to grow big the market. So because of all these things, Chota Nagpur is an ideal place for starting iron and steel industry. Then though India is an important iron and steel producing country in the world, yet we are not able to perform to our full potential, largely due to certain reasons. So we said India has got very cheap raw material, and the quality is very high, and the labor charge is cheap, and the potentiality of a vast market. All these are there in India. And but in spite of all these facilities and privileges, what happened? We are not able to become the best in the world. China is best in the world. We are still lagging behind in the 4th place. What could be the reason? So the reasons are, we can underline. High cost and limited availability of cooking coal. So one of the elements that is needed in order to produce this iron and steel is cooking coal. So that not much available. Cooking coal is not much available. Iron ore is plenty available, but other things like cooking coal, which is required, that is not available much, and what is available little bit, it is very costly also. Then lower productivity of labor. We said the labor is very cheap there, but together with that, the labor quality also is very poor. They are not very trained, and they may work from morning till evening, but the amount of work that they do is very less. So they are not very well trained. They are not very highly qualified. Because of that, the production is less. People are working, but the production is becoming very less. Then irregular supply of energy. So that is another problem that India is facing. That supply of energy, electricity supply, that is very irregular. So the factory, they need 24 hours of electricity to work the machines always. So but in India, all the time this electricity is off and they are not able to do the work. And then another one is poor infrastructure. So our factories, storerooms, everything is very poor. The infrastructure is very poor. We need to make nice quality buildings in order to settle all these things, to set up all these things. So but there also we are lacking. So because of all these problems, how many problems are there? We said 4 problems. Why the iron and steel industry is not progressing in India? What are they? One is less availability of cooking coal and its a high price. Second one is the low quality or the lower productivity of the labor. Then third one is irregular power supply. And the fourth one is poor infrastructure. These are the 4 reasons why India is not able to come up in the production of iron and steel. Other countries, they are able to solve this problem, so they are able to progress faster and faster. But in India, we are not able to solve our problems, therefore we are remaining in the same level. Others are going ahead of us and we are still lagging behind. Then, have you read about the Kaliningrad Controversy? Collect information from different sources and discuss. So there is a controversy called Kaliningrad. I hope you have heard about this Kaliningrad Controversy. What is it? So it was something that happened in 2006. And what was it? It was in Odisha. And iron and steel industry, a big company called Tata, they wanted to set up a giant steel plant at Kaliningrad. So this Tata company, they wanted to set up a big factory for iron and steel in the place called Kaliningrad. And in the tribal land, Then the tribal people protested for losing their land, and there was firing. So the Tata wanted to set it up there in the tribal land, but the people objected. They said, we don't need factory, we don't want to lose our agricultural land, we want our land to be safe. So government gave them permission. Government was supporting this industry, starting industry there, because that area will develop and a lot of people will get job and so on. But the people were unwilling to accept that. They did not want to lose their land. So there was fight between people, the police who came to support this factory. People and police, they were fighting together, and the police, they started firing gun, and so many people were dead. Around 13 people died in that firing. So it is called Kaliningrad. So in India also got that problem. When government wants to do some developmental programs, other people, there are a lot of people who are affected. Their land is affected, their field is affected, their lives are affected, and so on. So they come with protest, and that way the developmental works are hampered. Even if the government want to do something, but the people have a lot of demands are there, and they object to this use of their land and starting industry there. So that is one example, the why this problem is there. So we also import good quality steel from other countries. However, the overall production of steel is sufficient to meet our domestic demand. So we said, because of those four reasons, we are not able to come up our production, and so we import good quality steel from other countries. So we are not able to have sufficient for ourselves. So good quality one we import from other countries. However, the overall production of steel is sufficient to meet our domestic demands. So we produce a lot of steel, and that is enough for us for our domestic need. But maybe the quality is very poor. Therefore, when we need some good steel, we have to import from other countries. But for all the other domestic purpose, we are able to produce by ourselves. Then liberalization and foreign direct investment have been a boost to the industry with the efforts of private entrepreneurs. So, because of this foreign policy of the government and the liberalization, the trade is liberalized. We studied in the economics what is liberalization, globalization, and so on. So, because of that, the iron and steel industry has got a boost. They are able to improve their production, able to sell the production, export and also import it. Then there is a need to allocate resources for research and development to produce steel more competitively. So we said a lot of problems are there still for us to solve, and in order to solve these problems, what are we need to do? What are we need to do? We need to do something more. That means we need to allocate resources for research. We said our labors are very low quality, their productivity is very low, and so we need to provide proper research work. We need to do research, we need to find out what more we need to do, how to do the training to the employees and so on. Then we can improve the production. And also development to produce steel more competitively. So we must be able to enter into competition. So this globalization is there, others are also making, and we should have that desire that I want to make better than him. I want to produce things better than him. So that kind of competitiveness should be there. Then certainly we will be able to improve our production and we will be able to become better. We will be able to produce more quality steel and so on. So that is about iron and steel industry. We saw the good points and the bad points, and what we need to improve, what is our strength, what is our weakness, and so on. Now let us see about another important industry, that is aluminium industry. Aluminium industry. Aluminium smelting. Smelting means, we said earlier, melting. Smelting means melting. So aluminium smelting is the second most important metallurgical industry in India. So first one is iron and steel industry, among the metal industry. Aluminium is the second one. Then it is light resistant to corrosion, and a good conductor of heat, and malleable and becomes strong when it is mixed with other metals. So what are the qualities of aluminium? We have already studied early. We are just reminding again that it is very light. Aluminium is a very light metal, it's not very heavy, very light. Then resistant to corrosion. What is corrosion? Degrading. So aluminium will remain. If you keep iron for some time, what will happen? It will get rusty, and slowly the quality of the iron will come down. So that's why we had to do the painting and so on. Every time we do the painting, the iron, because it comes into contact with the air, it starts corrosion, it starts getting degraded, getting rusty and so on. But aluminium, even if you give 100 years, there is no need of painting. It will never get spoiled, it will not get degraded and so on. So that is one quality of aluminium. Then it's a good conductor of heat, so it can pass the heat, not only heat, even the electricity. That is why for the roadside along the electric post we can see the wires are made of aluminium, because it is a good conductor of electricity, power, heat. It is allowing the heat to pass from one side to another side. Then malleable. Malleable means it can be reshaped, so it is not rigid. Iron means more hard, but aluminium is more light. It can be shaped, reshaped and so on. Then it becomes strong when it is mixed with other metals, and we can make it very strong if we are ready to mix with other metals. So pure aluminium will be very light and very soft, but if you mix with other metals, we said in the case of iron, we mix manganese, so that iron will become very hard. So in the same way, if you mix with other metals in the aluminium also becomes very hard. Then it is used to manufacture aircraft, utensils and wires. It has gained popularity as a substitute of steel, copper, zinc and lead in the number of industries. So since this aluminium has got a very light weight, and it is used for making aeroplanes, because aeroplanes should be made with the most light metals, otherwise it will be too heavy to fly in the air. Therefore the aircraft is made with aluminium. Then also it is used for making utensils. A lot of vessels are there made of aluminium. Then made with and also used for making wires, aluminium wire for electricity and so on. And it has gained popularity as a substitute of steel. So before people were using steel, copper, zinc, lead and so on. And these days most of the people are using aluminium instead of other metals. Instead of steel, copper, zinc and so on, they are preferring to use aluminium. So aluminium has got more demand now. Then aluminium smelting plants in the country are located in Odisha, West Bengal, Kerala, Uttar Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, Maharashtra and Tamil Nadu. So where are the places where this aluminium industry is settled up? Aluminium factory is set up? It is in many states are there. Odisha, West Bengal, Kerala, Uttar Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, Maharashtra and Tamil Nadu. In 2008 and 9, India produced over 15.29 lakh million tons of aluminium. So in the year 2008 and 9, India produced a lot of aluminium. How much it was? 15.29 lakh million tons. Then bauxite, the raw material used in the smelters, is a very bulky and dark reddish colored rock. So what is the raw material used for making aluminium? You can underline bauxite. So it is a bauxite that is used for making aluminium. The raw material of aluminium is bauxite, and this bauxite is very heavy, very bulky, and it is very dark and reddish in color. And the flow chart given below shows the process of manufacturing aluminium. A regular supply of electricity and an assured source of raw material at minimum cost are the two prime factors for the location of the industry. So before setting up the aluminium industry, they will consider two factors. One is the place is having electricity supply or not, regular supply is there or not, or they will say whether this raw material, that is the bauxite, whether it is nearby available or not with a less price. So these are the two things that they are looking for to start aluminium factory. And you can see in the textbook there is a chart is given there how the aluminium is produced, what is the process. So what is the process? In the beginning we see the raw material, the bauxite is produced. Then this raw material is transported to the factory by ship or by railway. Then there is bauxite is crushed and the alumina dissolved out. So this bauxite is a rock, we said already, reddish and dark in color. That rock is crushed in the factory. Then aluminum is sent to the refineries. So it is crushed and sent to the refinery. Then bulk ones are shipped to site or smelter. So if it is very bulky again, it will be sent by ship to the place where it is melted. Or it is calcinated petroleum coke from a refinery. So another, as we are doing the crushing, the petroleum products are also coming out. Then a pitch from a colliery. So what is pitch? It is a black substance that is coming out as they are doing the crushing of this bauxite. Lot of other products, side products are also coming up, like oil comes out, and also the black substance is coming up. Then it is sent to aluminium smelter. After crushing, it will be sent to the smelter for melting, and there it is a molten metal acts as an electrolyte. So here in the physics you study about electrolyte and so here as they are doing this melting, what is functioning as a electrolyte? It is a cryolite, that is a molten, it is a melted metal. Then at the end the aluminium is coming out, the pure aluminium is coming out, and the electricity that they need, what is the electricity they need? 18,600 kilowatt per ton of iron. Of ore. So to melt 1 ton of aluminium ore, they need 18,600 kilowatt. So that is a huge demand for power. That's why we said they will look for a place where there is regular electricity supply in order to start this industry. If there is no electricity supply, then they cannot start. They cannot afford, it will be running on loss. So electricity is a must, that is regular supply, and very strong power supply is required in order to start this business. So we shall wind up for today, and in the next class we shall study about another industry, that is chemical industries. We shall see in the next class. So thank you for listening. Have a nice day.